Please welcome to the stage Chief Executive Officer of Oracle, Mike Sicilia.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. If you're watching online from somewhere else in the world, good afternoon, good evening, as the case may be. Welcome to Oracle AI World. We know that your time is incredibly valuable, and the fact that you've chosen to spend it here with us this week is much appreciated. I also know that many of you probably joined us in years past for Cloud World, or even before that, Oracle Open World. But today, we are faced with a once-in-a-generation moment where AI changes everything. And all of our collective innovations along the way serve as the foundation for our AI platform going forward. AI World is our way of bringing it all together, showcasing how Oracle, and of course all of you, are not just experiencing the era of AI, but together we're defining it. And we've made no secret about it. As AI reshapes business everywhere, Oracle stands apart as the leader. We're delivering trusted AI that's transforming organizations in every industry. AI is no longer just about changing the technology. It's not about just some new features. It's about changing how business is done everywhere. It changes how you serve your customers, how you find the best talent, how you save money, how you accelerate productivity, how you innovate, and beyond. All of us together are right at the center of this amazing revolution. Today, you're going to hear from leaders across industries that are already harnessing the power of Oracle AI to unlock the full potential of applied enterprise AI within their organizations. You're going to hear how they're changing outcomes and how they're even creating brand new ones as a result. We're not just showing up with some AI bells and whistles bolted onto old technology. There's no other company that's bringing together the data, the infrastructure, the applications, and the trust to power every AI ambition for every business at every single layer of the tech stack. And of course, it all starts with data, the fuel for AI. For decades, the Oracle database has managed the world's most valuable data. Today, the Oracle database is AI native. It's built to store all your data and to bring intelligence to everything you do so that you can build faster, you can scale securely, and you can power your most important workloads. Our AI data platform builds on all of this, combining your enterprise data, both structured and unstructured, with the very best generative AI models so that you can run and create AI agents and analytics and leverage your private data with world-class models without sacrificing any of the security around your private data. Internally, we use the very same platform to deliver embedded AI agents across our complete suite of applications, empowering AI outcomes from the edge to the front office to the back office. And of course, it's all powered by OCI, the AI infrastructure leader that is trusted to train and serve more AI models than any other hyperscaler, delivering speed, security, cost effectiveness, and scale. Now, I know that many of you are already putting Oracle AI to work across every part of your business every day. You're hiring faster, you're predicting cash flow more accurately, you're streamlining expenses, you're flagging supply chain risks, you're resolving service tickets instantly. You're getting real results with no extra cost and no waiting. Internally at Oracle, we're seeing exactly the same results, and it's working. In fact, 80% of our employees have said that AI has already improved their work quality. In finance, our touchless expense automation and invoice matching are cutting cycle times and saving several days per quarter in forecasting. In HR, AI-driven recruiting is shortening time to hire and freeing thousands of employee and manager hours, thanks to the AI built into our Fusion HCM applications. In sales, AI-guided deal progression is accelerating cycles, boosting forecast, and raising win rates. Supply chain, real-time alerts and accurate ETAs are keeping goods moving and cutting delays. And in support, AI ticket handling and autonomous problem solving are cutting resolution times by more than half. But the true impact isn't just about systems and statistics. It's actually about changing everything. It's about solving entire problems and doing things in a much better way. It's about giving employees more time for the work that's most impactful. If you're at a service desk, it should mean resolving issues in real time instead of logging tickets and waiting possibly days for answers. If you're a finance leader, it means spotting risk and opportunities before they show up in the numbers, seeing around corners instead of just reporting the past. If you work in HR, supply chain, operations, it means instant insights and automation that let you focus on strategy, creativity, and care for your people. And when you are the customer, it means that every interaction feels personal, whether you're calling a help desk, you're checking into a hotel, or you're booking a car. And to bring this to life, I'm very shortly going to be joined by leaders in energy, travel, hospitality, and biotech. These are industries where trust, reliability, and human connection matters most. They're going to discuss how Oracle AI is already changing their customer interactions and even creating new outcomes as a result. So to kick it off, we're going to hear from a company that's powering millions of homes and businesses and leading innovation in the energy sector. Let's hear more.
Exelon powers more than 10 million businesses and households across the US, Mid-Atlantic, and Chicago. And now, guided by insights from revolutionary data technologies, the nation's largest energy delivery company is further modernizing its infrastructure and accelerating towards a more affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy future. Exelon is driving the energy transformation by modernizing its infrastructure, accelerating the shift to clean energy, and rising to meet the unprecedented power demands of the AI revolution. By embedding artificial intelligence and advanced data analytics across its operations, Exelon is building a smarter, more resilient grid to power innovation at scale. Please welcome to the stage President and Chief Executive Officer of Exelon, Calvin Butler.
Thank you, Calvin.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Calvin, thanks again for being here. I know you have an incredibly busy week, and you rearranged your schedule to make sure you could be here. That's really appreciated. You know, at Exelon, you've transformed how you operate across finance, customer engagement, and actually the grid itself. You know, maybe to kick us off, can you tell us what you think defines this transformation and what has been the enabler for the company to make it happen?
Well, first off, let me just say good morning and thank you for having me. And you know, the travel logistics were a little tough, but I think it's an indication, I know it's an indication of the partnership we have with Oracle, which is why I'm here and why members of my team are in the audience. So for me, the transformation starts and ends with what are we doing for our customers? How are we showing up for them today? And more importantly, how we're going to show up for them over the next decade. And partnering with Oracle has allowed us to really move things onto the cloud to do a few things. I love the slogan, powering your business, because that is really what it's all about. How can we do things more efficiently, seamlessly, removing costs out, but delivering on higher expectations? And that's really what it's been about from us since day one. And we partner with you guys on a finance side, HR side, operations, and that technology is the bedrock for where we're pushing the organization.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, you've been certainly one of the pioneers in leaning into what I think about is the full stack advantage for both of us. You know, avoided customizations, just really leaned into the platform, and we certainly appreciate that. What's kind of ironic is when we started that partnership, we maybe didn't realize how much energy and technology were going to converge. I mean, we need a little bit of power for these data centers, and it's really the sort of symbiotic relationship between energy providers and technology has to be stronger than ever to meet the world's demands for AI. From your perspective, where do you see parallels in how our industries are going to meet these demands going forward?
The parallels are, to your point, there is definitely a convergence in technology and what we do. We're in an industry now where we will see more transformation in the next 10 years than we've seen over the last 100. So understanding that, so what are we going to do about it? And as someone who operates one of the largest and most expansive grids through the country, we can't keep running the same play. And the technology being placed on our system is an opportunity, but also challenging. So one of the things as a CEO that I think about more than most is security. Every time you add a piece of technology on the system, you expose yourself to a level of risk. So that's one. Partnering with you and technology in general to say, what are we doing to make it more efficient, make it faster, make it better, but minimizing risk? That's one. I would also say the second piece is going back to that customer centricity. How is technology helping us serve our customers differently in the future? You can't just invest for technology's sake, because you can appreciate, as a utility, I have to justify every dollar spent. And therefore, I'm always talking about the value add to my commissioners. So what we need from an Oracle and our partners is saying, this is the value-driven proposition of when you talk about costly upgrades are being eliminated. When you talk about seamless transition to data is key for us. Creating a data strategy where we can serve them differently is going to be critical for us.
Yeah, it's amazing. You bring up so many parallels there. I mean, obviously, every time we add components to our grid, if you will, or our data center components, we think about what is the potential security impact of this as well. But along the way, we've learned so much from you and your peers in your industry about how to operate 24/7, services, mission critical services. I mean, the days of on-premises software, we were a distributor. We distributed the software, and many times somebody else was implementing that. We have a relationship with our customers as a custodian of these systems, whether or not we're involved in the implementation or not. Right. It's a 24/7 mission critical, can't fail thing. And I want to thank you because we've learned. I think being a technology provider to your industry for so many years, even pre-cloud, pre-AI, yes, has really taught us so many lessons about how to operate at scale. So,
one of the things that's key for us is that utilizing technology where we're taking the industry. I'll share with you where Exelon is as far as its operations. We are so proud that we are the leading organization in the industry in terms of reliability and resiliency, but we have to get better. Because as more of us are working from home, more of us are utilizing technology and educating our children, all technologies, it's so important. Our customers have less patience. Sure. When you go down. And I think, what you're dealing with in technology as well. So when I talk about 24/7 operations, that's critical for us. And your technology is embedding that, because the data analytics and what we're going to use is going to help me get to 24/7 blue sky days.
So how does that change your relationship with customers, both consumers and businesses? One that goes beyond an interaction with the utility when the lights go out, when there's outages. How does that transform the relationship?
How we communicate to them is critical. So imagine on a blue sky day, you get home and the lights have been flickering. It's nothing more frustrating. But if I can do preventive maintenance on the system, communicate with my customers early, and let them know what's going on, they can plan for it. When I can tell my customers after any storm, you'll be up within 12 hours because I know what it takes, that's the investment in the system. When my customers call, utilizing the data that we've received from them and understand why they're calling, and service them better without them ever having to do anything except for dialing our phone number is critical. That's the relationship and how it's changing.
I have to say, as a customer in one of your service areas,
Thank you.
Your communications around outages, which are infrequent, by the way,
Yeah.
but usually storm-related, are incredibly accurate. And it's always great to get the text and get the restoration time and know that maybe there's a little bit of Oracle tech behind that as well. So
it's a lot of Oracle tech behind that.
We appreciate that partnership. Now, you've said, thinking now in the future, you've said before that you see AI as an enabler, a way to help employees and customers alike both be more efficient and informed. As you look ahead, where do you think the investments are in AI, and how is that going to play out in helping you achieve that mission?
Yeah. So you can appreciate in the utility industry, we're not the leaders in deploying AI technology because of all the other things that we're dealing with, but we should not be the laggards. I would tell you that I see AI implementation around our customer area more than anything else. We're utilizing it. We're utilizing it now within our finance, our legal, and our regulatory matters, but where we'll have the biggest benefit is in the customer segment. And most people think of AI from a standpoint of it's going to cost you to lose jobs, but if we think of deploying that technology in that way, we're going to miss the whole opportunity. It is really going to be around, one, how we capture that data and utilize it to the benefit of our customers ultimately, to drive communication, outages, to drive interactions, in addition to driving how we invest in our grid. That's really going to be the mover for us.
Yeah, and of all the industries we serve, I mean, your industry's up there with banking as healthcare is probably some of the most regulated industries. How are the regulations, how's it going with AI in general in terms of consumer rollout versus grid rollout for AI? What are the hurdles? What are the things that we need to think about collectively there?
That's a great question. It would not surprise anyone in here. The regulators aren't the early adopters.
No.
And they struggle with new technology because they want it to be proven, but you can't prove it until you invest in it.
Right.
And I'm going to be hesitant to invest until I know I can recoup those costs. So what we've done with them, you'll see a lot of utilities talking about we're running a pilot. We're running this so we can show the value. And I think that prevents the early adoption of certain things. But having said that, when you look at drone technology, the capturing the data, putting it into the database, that's been helpful. When you talk about predictive analytics, that's been helpful. When you show them the value, they get it, but it is a slow walk. And regulators at the state, local, and federal level are just hesitant.
Yeah. Would you say that collectively it's incumbent upon us to sort of educate folks on the art of the possible, right? They may not understand what's really possible here. I mean, you talked about some of the stuff at the edge, not necessarily in the mission critical pieces. Is that the best place to start with AI?
It's very important, yes. Because, and I would tell you, those in this room have a much greater voice in this discussion than us, because as a utility, you can appreciate, they're going to say you're self-serving. But when the regulators want the same level of service that they receive from other industry, and you can demonstrate and communicate to them what you can do, that's where it's most effective.
Yeah. Now, ultimately, your mission is about people,
yes,
as we discussed. Employees in the field, customers at home, communities you serve. As technology evolves and we go through these regulatory processes together, what do you think the biggest impact from, let's say, AI-related technology is going to be to strengthen that mission going forward?
It's always about the people and the communities that we serve. And if you don't lose sight of that, that's where going back to your question earlier, where technology is that enabler. So for us, it's ensuring that we do a business case for every investment we make. How are we demonstrating that that business case was actually met? We've been partnering on our customer program. And the challenge is that how do I take my employees that have been working in the company for 30 to 40 years to utilize that new technology? And let me give you an example. I was out in the field the other day with some crew members. Both of the gentlemen have been working with the company for 40 years, but now they're out there with an iPad. And I asked them, how was that transition for you? He said, it was tough, but we had to do it. Because now on one particular substation, they've got all this equipment capturing data. And we retrained and retooled them. And that's where I say it's about the people. Because I can have all this technology, but if they don't know how to use it and aren't fulfilling it, it's done.
Yeah, it's a fantastic point. You know, you have, particularly in industries that are heavily regulated, the technology tends to get locked down for a longer period of time. And if you will, it's the system that people know. And any kind of change sometimes is seen as upsetting.
That's right.
The interesting thing about AI is that the rate of change in AI-assisted and enabled functionality, the rate of change is faster than we've ever seen. So do you think you can get to a point where you get a foundational level of training, you know, how to use devices in the field, but then we hope that these systems become so intuitive, so easy to use that we can completely eliminate the need for training? I mean, do you think we can get there for certain roles in the field, or do you think we're going to be in a situation where the training is just here to stay? We're going to have to continue to invest in it.
I would tell you, as someone who starts and finishes with the safety of our employees, I'm going to always involve some level of training, because when we're dealing with electricity and gas, that is something that is so important. But what AI and technology will do, it's your first check, your second check, and your third check. That's what technology enables. And that's how I saw the men using that out in the field that day, is that they thought they were seeing something and technology was confirming or saying, no, you're off. That's the important part. But the training is going to be critical, because it's life or death. And I never want that phone call of saying we lost someone or someone got seriously injured because something failed.
Well, I think it goes to the point that you made earlier about not worrying about the new systems replacing people, but actually making their jobs safer, making them more secure, and making them better.
I can give you another example of that. Remember when smart meters were coming out? Everyone was like, what are we going to do with meter readers? That job, that entry-level job. We retrained all those meter readers, and those individuals are now doing jobs within the organization that they had no idea how to do it. But technology was the enabler for that, and that's how I see us using it.
Yeah. Well, it's a terrific story, and your vision around how AI can assist, I think, is spot on. We look forward to continued partnership. Thank you very much for the investment. Thank you for coming here today and making all the sacrifices you made in your schedule. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you for the partnership.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we're going to talk with an industry titan who's running one of the most complex data and pricing systems in all of global transportation. Let's learn some more.
Avis understands that after a long flight, travelers want every next step to feel effortless. That's why they've always invested in technologies to deliver solutions to get on the road even faster. More than 50 years ago, Avis pioneered the car rental industry's first computer-based reservation system, a milestone that set the tone for everything that followed. Today, that same spirit of innovation drives their work in AI, with the goal of creating streamlined, intuitive experiences from pickup to drop-off. Please join me in welcoming Executive Vice President and Chief Digital and Innovation Officer at Avis Budget Group, Ravi Simple.
You have a lot of fans out there. Thank you for being here, Ravi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Avis is known for optimizing every part of the customer and employee experience, from fleet management to pricing to automation. So let's start just big picture. What are some of the business goals that you're pursuing with AI, and how is it actually transforming your organization?
Right, so, at Avis, at the Avis Budget Group, well, first of all, thank you for having me here. But in our company, we have three major pillars that we're very laser focused on. The first is customer. That includes customer acquisition and customer experience. The second is vehicle. That includes buying and selling of vehicles, supply chain, pretty complex processes. And the third is people, people who are our greatest asset. And so as we look at how we want to invest in our company and grow our company, and also find adjacencies to our current business, which is car rental, we have to look at technology as the bedrock of everything that we do going forward. So when we look at how we manage our business, we have a strat plan that extends into end of 2027. And we have very clear measurements and metrics and KPIs on what kind of revenue, what kind of EBITDA, margin, customer experience scores. And all of these come together in our performance and how we manage our performance throughout the company. And technology, especially with the advent of AI, is now playing a very, I would say, a very deep and important role in our business.
Now, speaking of your transformation in AI, you were one of the very first customers to go live on the Oracle AI database. Why did you start there, and what was the problem you were trying to solve?
Well, okay, why we started this rather simple. We were on a highly deprecated version of Oracle, and to get support, we had to jump. And so we decided, hey, if you're going to jump, we might as well jump to the latest and greatest that's out there, where Oracle is investing in. And the more I heard about 23AI and its capabilities, well, the initial capabilities, but the roadmap of capabilities that extend over the years, I discussed this with my team, and we thought it would be the best option for us to go jump right into it and be with Oracle as they're building out this product. The capabilities that you espouse are the ones that we will be using intensively at Avis to drive our business. So I'm very hopeful that they'll come out soon. We've already migrated a bunch of our data across to OCI and 23AI and OCI, and we will continue to do that all through next year.
So speaking of your team, I'm curious with the Oracle AI database and the fact that you can use natural language prompts versus just SQL to get insights into things like pricing, competition, operations. How does that change the way your teams work today, both your commercial teams, your IT teams, your operations teams? What's different about using natural language versus traditional query mechanisms?
All right, well, I've been in this business for 37 years. I don't look it, but the world has changed. We used to talk about, and Mike, you would have heard about this statement, data is the new oil. It is actually the new oil, and AI is the enabler of that oil to come to life. I imagine a world for my company, for everyone at Avis, to become problem solvers, not information gatherers, problem solvers, using these tools. Asking a question in natural language and having your curiosity served by the engine is what we need. Think about the world today of analytics, where the vast majority of people are using some sort of dashboard or the other. And a term that you would all be aware of or familiar with is slice and dice. You guys remember that? You tap on something, you click on one link, and you go to another link. And by the time you get insights from the data so you can actually take action, there's quite a big lag there. But imagine if you were able to ask the engine the question where you're trying to get to in the first place, the answer you're trying to get to, without having to go through the rigmarole of trying to read through the entire process. And to me, that's the power. And I want to give this capability to our entire company in their divisions, whether it's commercial, whether it's operational, of course, technology, so they can run their business in a far more efficient manner.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. I mean, does this free up your IT team for different types of work? And are you going to allow the commercial teams to directly query using natural language into these systems?
Yeah, absolutely. Today's technology team needs to enable our entire business. My team, and I'm really proud of them, they're the epicenter of driving the growth and the modernization of our business. Our job is to enable everyone and get out of the way. And that's what, so I see our roles, migrating away from who we are today to becoming senior business advisors to the rest of the company on how to adopt technology and move forward.
Now, shifting gears a bit, obviously you've made a huge investment in the Oracle AI database, but you're also making a huge investment in Fusion, our Fusion applications. And you're bringing embedded AI, particularly into your finance system with the Fusion AI agents. Where are you leading in first? What advice would you have, and what kinds of results do you expect to see as deploying those AI agents?
All right, well, first of all, a tip of my hat to Mark Hura and Jody Clayton for actually enabling all this for us, so thank you. I would say It's everywhere, but so we're trying to contain ourselves because the opportunity is so immense. So the areas I'll kind of focus on are procurement. We have a brand new leadership in the company that's driving procurement transformation. And then that runs across fleet, supply chain, parts, what have you. It's a huge function that we haven't paid much attention in the past. But now we have the platform, we have Oracle Fusion. And then you have the AI agents on the other side that have been built specifically to drive these processes into becoming far more efficient. It behooves us to dive into that, so making procurement more efficient. On the field, we have our field agents, I would say actually technicians, who need to order parts in real time. I don't want them to have to think about which part to order for which car, and at the best price. They just need to ask for the part, and the engine needs to decide at that point in time what is the best part for them to have. So that's huge, for them. It drives efficiency on the one hand, gets our car back into the mix for rental, and it also saves costs on the backside of the equation. So really happy about that. Data quality is huge. Today, my team, just because of the legacy that we inherited, we used to spend an inordinate amount of time cleansing data that traversed between systems, which for smart technology people is a very mundane, boring, and just a bad task. But we are using Oracle technology to actually automate the data cleansing and the data quality so we can focus on bigger, better things. So I can say, there's a tremendous push across the organization, and there are a plethora of examples that I can talk to.
Yeah, you spoke a bit earlier, again, about not just the quantitative impact, but the qualitative impact on the business as well in terms of time and decision quality. How do you, and we're hearing that in lots of industries, it's not just about faster, less expensive, but actually qualitative. How do you measure the qualitative impact of AI, and how does that differ from measuring traditional ROI on a project?
That's a great question. Well, business goals and metrics and KPIs will always remain the same. Today AI is the enabler. I'm sure in about 10 years from now there'll be AI plus quantum or what have you. There'll be some new technology, but you have to always keep that under the cover. What matters most is how are we driving a business? Are we growing market share? Are we growing revenue? Are we growing margin, EBITDA? Is our customer experience getting better? These are all tangible measurements that we make today. How AI plays into this, in my opinion, is our decision-making timeline from the time we observe that something needs to get done to the time it gets done and it's out there in front of our customers, in front of our employees. That time is greatly, greatly reduced. What AI does for organizations is it gives back the most important commodity that we have no control over, time. Imagine if something that took you 5 hours to do in a day took you less than 2 minutes. My God. It's not about golf, you could go golfing, but you could do more work. I really believe that that's how we're going to measure this, how quickly we are out to market, and how quickly we're able to make the right decisions for the company.
So with all that time back in the day, you look out in the near term or even far term horizon, how does it change the role for your IT team? Do you see your IT team as becoming more of a strategic advisor inside the company? How does that evolve? What does that look like over time?
It was an interesting question, so I thought a lot about that. So next year, we're going to be 80 years old. So you can imagine where we run the gamut from the very legacy way of doing things, legacy processes, to the very modern way of doing things. So we've got everything in the middle. My goal, and the way I want IT to be positioned, is to enable our people, again, who are our biggest asset. And yesterday I said it in a forum too, for me, AI does not stand for artificial intelligence. It stands for augmenting individuals. Our job as leaders is to grow people. And I see, for us, at Avis, what my team has done, the magic they've delivered over the last few years, is definitely in that direction. We are going to become senior advisors to the company on how we can meet our company goals and exceed them every day.
Yeah, well, speaking of people, when we were talking earlier, you made it a point to talk about the importance of the partnership, the importance of the Oracle team and the Avis team coming together And I think some of the things that you said back there are really worth repeating because they were very powerful. I wonder if you could share, just how's the partnership gone, in terms of the Oracle resource, the Avis resource, because you're involved in it. You're leaning into AI in almost every way possible. How's the partnership going, and what's made it so successful?
It's the word I use is excellence. I would say from the Oracle team, I think I see Mark Hura and team, Sharjit in the back, Nat, Ryan, Tejas, Jody. There's so many names that I can speak about. But a fantastic cohesion of strength from Oracle that's come to Avis. Equally, my team, and I see them right there, they're the best in the business. Please don't try and hire them. I need them. But they give us the permission to be here. They're fantastic. So between these two teams, they have really delivered a lot. They've moved really fast. I expect to see the results, though. This is all talk. In the next 90 days, and as we push very, very hard. So I just like to thank everybody in this room for that.
Yeah, well, as you said, I think you've gotten to the point, and it really speaks to your culture inside Avis, and that when you get into these huge transformation projects, and we're involved in several of them, and you get to that point of team where it's hard to figure out on any given day who works for Oracle and who works for Avis, and it almost doesn't matter because everybody is so mutually invested in delivering the outcome. And we couldn't be more excited to partner with you. And I want to thank you very much for your investment, your partnership, and for leaning into AI in such a huge way. And I really appreciate what you said about success. Not just the dollars and time, but also quality. And all of that, of course, leads to growth. I mean, just a super powerful example of a truly global business running smarter and serving your customers better, which is the business that all of us are in, thanks to this great partnership, and we appreciate your investment. Thank you very much, Ravi.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. All right, now we're going to be joined by another iconic brand. It's Reimagining Hospitality, and they're using AI to empower employees and to enrich the guest experience. Let's see what they're up to.
When you step into any one of Marriott's 9,000 plus properties around the world, you feel at home. And the world's largest hospitality company is just as welcoming of next-generation technology, designed to make guest experiences more satisfying and comfortable. Over the past year, Marriott has been investing in advanced AI tools across its global properties, embedding innovation into daily operations. These efforts are focused on enhancing the guest experience, supporting associates, and ensuring properties operate more efficiently and sustainably. Please welcome to the stage Chief Human Resources Officer and Executive Vice President, Global Operations Services of Marriott, Ty Breland.
How you doing? Thank you. Thanks for being here, Ty. I saw some of the smoke come out. I thought maybe Def Leppard was coming on with you or something there. But well, again, thanks again for spending your time here with this week. I know you're quite busy, and we appreciate you coming here to tell the Marriott story because I think it's a terrific one.
That's great to be here.
You've got a huge workforce, massive amount of associates worldwide, most of them in customer-facing roles. So how do you think about AI, you think about the approach, how do you approach that to both empower your employees and enhance the guest experience at the same time?
Yeah, so at Marriott, we have 800,000 people at 9,000 properties in 143 countries. And we've been guided by our core values for nearly a century. And at the heart of those core values is really putting people first. So as we started to deploy AI, we started there. How can we best help our people? And that's kind of guided us through this journey. Really looking at what matters most. How can we help our associates? Take the friction out, create capacity for them so they can better serve our guests, but really starting with the people. At the end of the day, if we really get this right, AI isn't replacing the human touch. It's bringing the human forward.
Well, speaking of people, you've got a three-part decision lens that you look at. It's associates, customers, guests, and owners, all three of which are people organizations. How do you, again, maybe expanding on the first question, how does AI support all three groups at once? Because all three are very important constituents for your business.
Yeah, so at Marriott, a lot of people don't know, but of those 9,000 properties I mentioned, we only own a handful of them. The vast majority are owned by REITs or individuals. And so those owners are a huge and very important part of the equation. So, of course, as I mentioned, every time we're making a decision or trying to look at an opportunity, we look at it through the lens of our associate. We look at it through the lens of our guests, but also those owners. And so for those associates, as we're deploying AI, we're really looking to, simplify their roles and really enrich the work that they're doing. For our guests, we want to give them a more personalized, authentic experience and speed things up. We're moving at pace and people demand that, so we really want to better serve those guests. But for those owners, it's really taking out the cost and complexity, generating efficiencies so that we can produce stronger returns and they continue to grow with us.
You were sharing with me earlier today just how much work somebody checking a person into a hotel is actually doing behind the scenes. As you're standing there at the desk, just how much screen flipping is happening and how much that poor person actually has to do to get you properly checked into the hotel. And more times than not, it goes seamlessly well and the experience is great. In your opening comment, you said it's not about replacing humans, it's actually bringing about the human part of hospitality forward. It's actually about accelerating the human interaction. So let's kind of walk through checking into a hotel, checking into a Marriott property. In the age of AI, what does it look like for the associate and for the guest?
Well, let me start with how it looks now. If you ever really want a challenge, go try to check someone in one of our hotels. But today, we're working across dozens of systems. We call it swivel chair. We're in the midst of a journey of our digital and technology transformation that's really going to change that process for good and take those dozens of systems and move them into a more unified view. But today, when you check in, it's a very manual process. It's navigating multiple systems. You'll notice when you check in, there's a lot of key punching going on as someone's trying to pull up your reservation. And then if you have to make a change to it, they're jumping out of that system and into another one. So with our digital and tech transformation, it's going to be all this unified view, what we're calling single pane of glass. It'll be more of a point and click process. And what that's going to do for us is really allow that associate at the desk to come out from behind that desk. Less of the time on process and more of the time with people and engaging them in conversation, sharing facts about the property, things that they can do around in that general area, but really engaging in this more authentic hospitality as opposed to being hung up in the process of keystrokes.
Are your associates excited about AI? I mean, when they've seen little glimpses of it, do they want more of it? And if so, how are you helping people feel confident and comfortable with the tech rather than intimidated by it? Because we see the same issues, maybe healthcare, I'll say.
Yeah.
You've got these very complex systems, and while nobody really loves using them, it is the system that they know. And change is change. Yep. Change is always going to have some amount of negativity because I got to learn something new. How's it going for you, and how are you getting people comfortable with this new generation?
Well, I think first, we started our journey with our AI studio in 2023. And we were very purposeful about having it co-chaired by our head of global tech and revenue, our chief customer officer, and myself from an HR and operations standpoint. And as we started to engage in this journey, that word confidence was really at the apex of the conversation. How can we best get our associates to want to grab the technology as opposed to it feeling pushed on them? And so we started by, we have our customer engagement center. So that's the number you call if you need to change something or book a reservation if you're not doing it online. But for those agents, we went out and said, what's the most painful part of your job? If we could fix 1, 2, 3 things that would enrich your role, what would it be? And so we started there. And as we started to deploy those solutions, it became contagious. They really wanted more. They're adopting it, they're sharing it with their colleagues and really putting it to work. You know, we're in a really fun industry. People want to serve others, and so they want to take that time and do something with it. You know, I think a lot of times when we're talking about efficiency of days gone by, it was how do you do more with less? And what we're really trying to do with AI is how do you do less but have more impact?
True.
You know, because at the end of the day, for us, you know, service is something you do, but hospitality is how you make that customer feel, and they remember that long after their check-in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a really fascinating point you just made about asking associates, what's the most painful part of your job? Because when we think about traditional IT implementations, we often start with corporate goals. We often start with, you know, things we need to automate. We need to spend less money. We need to save money here. We need to do all those things. But AI actually gives us an opportunity to ask very different questions. What is the problem you're trying to solve at the edge? And of course, if you can solve problems at the edge, your guest experience gets better as a result. I mean, if the associate's having a better day, your guests are going to have a better day, right? If the associate's not struggling with the system, your guests are going to feel more comfortable and more empowered. So I think it's a really fascinating point for all of us to keep in mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to always remember those individuals doing the job know most about the job.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't try to go to a hotel and tell them how to operate.
Yeah.
I ask what we can do to help them because they know more about what they're doing than anyone else. And I think the same is true as we're trying to solve for these opportunities and apply AI.
And how about if we go, you know, beyond the front desk, beyond the check-in experience, beyond the stay experience, thinking about, you know, cultivating your Bonvoy members in general. Bonvoy, you know, obviously, you know, a massive global program. You know, one of the most popular hospitality apps in the world today, and I'm a customer of it, by the way.
Great, thank you for your business.
Thank you. I have 271,000 points right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It might even more because I told you I stayed at a property last week, and
all right,
I haven't checked
redeemed
recently.
those.
So what do we expect to see in that, you know, that pre-check-in experience, that member experience, and how do you see AI shaping the guest journey before they even show up at one of your properties?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that we're doing right now. So I'll go to Bonvoy first, and I can jump around to a couple of other things. But in our Bonvoy program, kind of that most elite tier is called an ambassador. And what we're doing with AI right now is really offering this white glove service. So you call the CEC Center Associate, your content information is pulled up. We're starting to look and have a conversation with you about where you want to stay, where you want to go. So I know you recently stayed at our property in New York. Maybe you also wanted to do a dinner somewhere. All of that information is surfacing so that we can provide you and your wife this really bespoke itinerary that's going to make that trip even more memorable. So that's a spot that we're using it right now as it relates to the Bonvoy program.
Right.
But we're really trying to leverage AI, you know, wherever we can. First, we ask the question, like, what work doesn't need to happen anymore? Then where we do need to automate, how do we do so in a way that it's a bit behind the scenes? There's a lot of things that take place at a hotel that we don't want the guests to necessarily know anyway, and that's another place. So your stay should be a bit more seamless. It should be more fluid. If you need to change things around, it should be easier than it has been in the past.
Yeah, so it's like, how far in advance of the guest, you know, in-person physical experience does the AI journey start? How far, as you think about the changes to Bonvoy and embedding AI there, like how far in advance do you start to, you know, captivate that guest experience using AI before they show up at the property?
Hopefully we're doing it before you think you even need to take a trip.
I was just going to ask, is it before you even made your reservation, does actually,
yeah. As the idea of travel and where you want to go is coming up, we're hoping that you're coming to Marriott.com or on our digital app, and we're bringing that information to you to help shape that experience of where you want to go next. And then AI is sitting behind the scenes on all of those transactions therefore.
Yeah. Well, it's really certainly amazing, and I think that, you know, this is such a terrific example of you know, augmented AI enhancing human interaction, not replacing human interaction. Yep. There's a lot of negativity, some negativity around AI is going to take all these things away from everybody, but actually this is a terrific example of giving human beings more time to focus on the things that matter, and that's your guest.
We talk about it as an investment. and our associates. So we see AI as an investment, whether it's the training and how to write prompts and leverage it, but also freeing up that capacity so you can do what you really love of taking care of our guests. That's how we're talking about AI inside of Marriott, and that's how we want to continue to fuel that as a superpower for our associates as opposed to something we're doing to them.
Well, it's terrific. I mean, your vision is spot on. We certainly share the belief that AI can reduce friction, create better experiences, and ultimately, in many industries, hospitality being one of the more prominent ones, make people more cared for. So thank you for sharing the vision. Thank you for the partnership. And we look forward to hearing more about all the success of Marriott and Bonvoy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, our final customer for this segment is doing some truly amazing work. They're going to talk about using AI not to just transform a business, but literally to save human lives by fighting antibiotic resistance. Let's take a look.
Biofy is at the forefront of developing AI that makes our world a healthier and more sustainable place. The startup is helping researchers identify antibiotic-resistant bacteria, develop next-generation drugs, innovate methods to enhance crop yields, and explore solutions to environmental threats. High-performance cloud infrastructure offering scalable GPU clusters and advanced data technologies power Biofy's mission to serve industries as diverse as agriculture, life sciences, and law. Biofy empowers genetic engineers, bioinformatic researchers, and business leaders to solve challenges in producing abundant food and effective drugs. Please welcome to the stage Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Biofy Technologies, Paulo Perez.
Hi. Thank you, Helen. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much. Please come in. Paulo, thank you so much for traveling all the way from Brazil to be here with us today. Your story is, I've had the chance to hear your story, and I can't wait for everybody else to hear it because it's simply amazing.
Oh, thank you.
It's just an incredible use of AI. But maybe for those that aren't familiar with Biofy, could you tell us what's the mission?
In a nutshell, Mike, our mission is, everyone is talking about AI related to, save costs, sometimes to change the way that we work and etc. But we can truly believe that we can use AI to develop tools or to develop solutions that can contribute to the environment and to human life, saving lives.
No, it's unbelievable. You're using AI and using the Oracle database to fight antibiotic resistance. I mean, that's not something we hear every day. So what does that really mean in practice for both hospitals and patients? How does it work?
Yeah. First, let me explain a bit about the solution and how it works. So when we have a bacteria, we have an infection, we take a sample of the blood or anything else, and we use DNA sequence process to extract the DNA of the bacteria. It's a huge string with thousands or millions of elements, and we created a function that transforms it in a vector. So we created a huge vector database with more than 700,000 of bacteria DNAs. Wow. For each new test, we use vector search to identify the bacteria and its resistance to the antibiotics, and we do it in just 4 hours. The traditional test needs 5 days. So reducing the time from 5 days to just 4 hours. In terms of the hospital and the patients, it's a totally new approach, because to know exactly the best treatment in short time can really save the life of the patient.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing when you think about what is the Oracle database, vector search, vectorizing data and vector search have to deal with saving lives. It turns out, when combined with your technology, actually quite a lot. And I had an experience with a family member. It was exactly that. 5 days to grow something out into a petri dish to figure out the right antibiotic. And in the meantime, I'm not a doctor, so let's take this as not medical advice, but we overprescribe lots of very wide spectrum, heavy duty antibiotics that actually might be completely unnecessary, which we know aren't necessarily beneficial either. So, I mean, it's just a dramatic switch. And I know in Brazil, you've already seen the solution dramatically reduce mortality rates, dramatically reduce death rates from resistant infections. What's it been like to be at the bedside to see this actually happen?
Yeah, so it's sad, but in Brazil, traditionally in the hospitals, the mortality rate during bacterial infections is close to 70%. It's a huge number. So using our solution, we reduced it to 50%, and we truly believe that we can go further, maybe less than it, maybe 30% or less. So only this year, I'm talking about 2025, we are expecting to save 2,000 lives, only in Brazil, only in the hospitals that we are working now.
You're going to go from 70% resistant antibiotics down to 30%. And is that a factor of the time? In other words, the longer something goes on and untreated, obviously, the worse the outcome may possibly be. So you're going to take something that's usually 5 days, figure out the right antibiotic, takes 5 days down to an hour or two. We start treatment right away.
Yeah. This is the most important thing, to know exactly what kind of bacteria you have and the best treatment change the game. Yeah. And by the way, we are creating a huge bacteria DNA database. And of course that...
yeah, I think this database and the system just continues to get smarter over time, right? The more samples you have, the more opportunities you have to train, and it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that this whole system gets better. You spoke earlier, I want to go back to something you said about vectors and the importance of vectors and how you're using the Oracle AI database for this vector search. Why was that the breakthrough, and what were the options previously before you used the Oracle AI database vector search?
The traditional test, as I told, it consumes 5 days. It's a long time. And there is another problem. The other problem is that bacteria are evolving, are having mutations. And identify it is too hard. But using the vector, this is the beautiful of the solution. It's not necessary to have the same original bacteria DNA. We can perform the vector search and identify the close one, the mutation, and know exactly the mutation of the bacteria, and again, know the best treatment for that.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. And as you said, you're building this database. It's going to, it's going to have an inferencing-like impact in that you want to get close enough to the strain to realize what's the right antibiotic to prescribe. As this database gets bigger, and as you have more inferencing cases associated with it, how do you see that opening doors? What should we be excited about for what are possibly entirely new medical breakthroughs?
This is my dream. Let me explain why. With this database that we have and we are growing it, we started to research the use of AI to develop new antibiotics against the superbacteria. So now it's possible to use AI to create new drugs and test it in silico instead to test in humans and etc. And we are reducing the time, the necessary time, from 10 years to just 2 years. So I fully believe that between 3 and 5 years at most, we will have new antibiotics to work against or to fight against these superbacteria. And I have a dream, Mike, that I want to share to you.
Please.
My dream, and my dream for everyone that is seeing us now, is that in 5 years, the people will no longer die due to bacteria infections.
Well, that would be...
Thank you.
Yeah. That would be amazing. I mean, you spoke about, something here I think that's incredibly important in the healthcare and life sciences industry, the connection from the bedside to clinical research. And how do we take real world data from the bedside? How do we turn these global databases into wonderful tools for clinical research? So I want to replay what you said just to make sure I got it right. Right now, you take a sample, we find out the right antibiotic very, very quickly. We still have a certain percentage, maybe 30%, as you roll this tech, maybe we get down to 30% of bacteria that are still resistant. They're super bacteria. They're resistant to any antibiotic that's on the market today. Likely to turn, likely for somebody to turn septic or pass away as a result. But you think as a result of this database, paired with the life sciences industry, paired with molecular discovery, drug discovery, genomics, it all comes together, we can actually create new precision medicines for that particular patient, for that particular strain, even if, I want to make sure this is true because this is absolutely fascinating, even if it's the only strain, the only time we've ever seen that strain, the first time we've ever seen that strain.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's just incredible, incredibly inspiring.
And there is something that I really want to say to you. This is one very important reason that we are together with you, with Oracle, because we have the same purpose. I really know that Oracle takes care of health, and by the way, your team is amazing. They are together with us, helping us to create this kind of solution.
Well, we appreciate it. I have to admit, I think when we created the vector database, we didn't think about that use case, but you really have taken this thing to somewhere that's just staggering. So, clinical research, molecular discovery, how fast can we get a molecule to a medicine? How many lives can we save? You're moving just at an incredible pace because you've done all this in the last couple of years. I mean, all this has happened. You've saved 2,000 lives just in the last couple of years with this vector technology and vectorizing this technology. So if you can do that much that quickly, as we look at the next 3 to 5 years, specifically, where do you think AI will have the biggest impact on infectious disease care?
So first, as we told, to discover new drugs, to have best treatment, and etc. But there is something so new that we started to work. By the way, one of the hospitals that are working with us is here with us. I'm so proud of that. And, it's a real success history, and they are here together with us. And with this hospital, we started to develop not only new, the research of new antibiotics and etc., but there is a totally new area. The name is Epigenetics. Do you know something about that?
A little bit, but you know a lot more about it than I do. So go ahead.
So, epigenetics is related to let's say, the cell aging, not mutations, but small change in DNA. That this small change could, for example, create cancer and several other diseases. But the good thing is that now we know that it's possible to use AI plus DNA sequence, vector database, vector search, to identify this change, to recommend, for example, few small steps like, you must have a better lifestyle, making exercise and etc. But more than it, we started to research the development of new drugs to stop the cell aging process.
So now you're taking this very same technology, which today is specific to antibiotic-resistant bacteria. You think we can detect and predict someone who may advance to a certain form of cancer, and we can stop it in its tracks before it even gets there.
Yeah, and by the way, the person that will live 150 years, probably is here, seeing us.
And this is all on the same vector technology. This is based on the same vector technology, the ability to vectorize this data and to very quickly compare it against massive global data sets is what makes all of this possible.
Yes, yes.
Well, if that's not a story for AI being our data rather being the fuel for AI, I'm not sure what is. And I certainly thank you on behalf of Oracle, but I also have to thank you on behalf of humanity as well for what you're doing. I mean, what you've shared with us is so much more than a technology story. It's just a reminder of the very real outcomes that are possible from AI. And I hope that some of the AI naysayers out there in the world heard what you had to say here, because reducing death rates, building a foundation for new treatments, improving care, what matters more? Thank you so much again, Paolo. Very, very inspiring.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so what a story. Everything you've heard today shows what's possible when AI is built in and not bolted in. And of course, none of it would be possible without all of you. You push us to keep innovating, to solve the hardest problems, and to make AI practical and trusted at enterprise scale. So as you explore the next couple of days at AI World, I would encourage you to learn from your peers, meet with our teams, meet with the Oracle teams, and see for yourself what Oracle AI can do for you. I'd like to thank you for challenging us, thank you for trusting us, and thank you for always inspiring us. With all of you and Oracle AI, there really are no limits as to what we can achieve together. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.